Hi and welcome to a Commander card review for Borborygmos and fblthp for cEDH. So I'm actually a big fan of Borborygmos the Enraged. I play that a bunch in casual. That's really fun playstyle. You attack, you get lands into your hand if you have a really high land ratio, and then you toss lands to deal damage to creatures and players. I gotta say that was really fun. Didn't really be good, wasn't really good in cEDH because it's just a 8 mana, really expensive creature. But the playstyle was really awesome. Once you had that commander in play, wow. fblthp is also kinda cool. It's just a tiny little homunculus that draws cards when it comes to play. It's a really cool Doomsday with Proteus Staff combo in mono blue. And it's kinda awesome how these two have like joined together. They're both Cyclops, or well, not really Cyclops, but they are one-eyed creatures, so they definitely have something in common. One is enormous and the other one is tiny. Honestly, I would love to have some lore about these guys. If anyone actually know any lore about these guys, please leave a link in the description below of the video, in the comments below. I would love to read what these two are actually up to. It just looks very similar to the coin flip Iset commander pair, the sender split something. We're really interested in knowing what these two are actually up to. However, back to the video in question, the new Borborygmos and fblthp in one card Tamer version. So 5 mana, red, blue, green, 2 generic for a 6/5 Cyclos Homunculus. Whenever Borborygmos and fblthp enters the battlefield or attacks, draw a card. Then you may discard any number of land cards. When you discard one or more cards this way, this creature will deal twice that much damage to target creature. And then you can pay blue and 1 generic to put this creature on top of its owner's library, third from the top. I guess that's something you can do if like someone is gilded draking the commander, so to say. So it has some form of escape protection. Not a good one, but something. But the big fear here is the card draw when you put it into play and when you attack with it. The problem though is that that kind of card draw isn't that good when you compare it to something like Kraum. Kraum could in theory draw 3 cards in a turn cycle or more. Usually draws like 1 and 2 cards now and then. But Kraum on 5 mana, same CMC, has a really good card draw engine compared to Borborygmos that will only draw 1 card per turn, unless you're going like extra turns and unless you're doing extra combat steps. Both of these can come into play early in the game with a Yule Lotus or a Lionside Diamond in some cases. But I would in general say that Kraum is something of a better card draw engine, most of the time. Especially considering its partner, so you can pair it with something like Tymna or Francis and then you have more card draw. The other part of this ability, where you discard land cards to toss damage to creatures, isn't that good. It's not terribly useless, and it is some form of spot removal that you can do here and there, which means that we have a perfect commander pair to compare this one to, and that's Kraum and Armix is basically the same thing. So with Armix, whenever you attack, you may discard a card to give a creature -X/-X to destroy, depending on how many artifacts you have, to kill hate bears here and there. And Borborygmos is doing the exact same thing. Whenever he attacks, you can discard lands to kill creatures, as well as having that Kraum draw engine in there as well, kinda. In general, Kraum, Armix, better color identities, better card draw, and you don't need to discard specifically lands to kill creatures. Also, Armix can kill really big creatures by just discarding 1 card if you have a really big board state, but also he's also counting the artifacts in your graveyard as well. So for only 1 card from Armix, you can destroy a lot of things. Where in Borborygmos' case, you might need to discard more lands to kill big things. On the other hand, you don't really need to discard that much to kill most things in cEDH, because most things you need to kill are tiny, cute hate bears on toughness 2, usually. But it also starts a question of what is this commander actually going to do? Now, first of all, you could win with Food Chain. If you're able to generate infinite mana with, for example, Food Chain in Squee, then you could cast your Borborygmos, gain a card draw, exile Borborygmos into Food Chain, and then you go through a loop where you basically draw your entire deck with infinite creature mana. So that could be a finisher. He also has card draw, so he could like draw into this. But we are lacking black. Tainted Pact is one of the better cards for a Food Chain strategy, because if you cast Tainted Pact, that's gonna assemble your 2-card win con, because you're gonna dig and exile Squee and continue to dig until you hit food chain. So now you've exiled Squee and you have food chain in your hand. So Tainted Pact and the console 2 is a good way to assemble your food chain combo from a 1-card tutor here. But still, I mean, you could still go for the food chain combo anyways here. We could also go for Dockside Tamer Sabertooth, that's gonna generate infinite mana. With infinite mana, cast commander, flicker, return commander to hand, recast commander, draw your entire deck, and figure something out. We have the color identities for Underworld Breach and Brain Freeze, and we are fueling our graveyard by tossing lands into our graveyard, so that could be a combo we could include in this Commander Tamer deck as well, potentially. I guess we have to be me, personally as well. This is what I would have done if I played a little more casual. Splendid Reclamation and Valakut. Well, we are discarding lands, and eventually by drawing into enough lands through our deck, we could find Splendid Reclamation and regain all of those lands in a big boom explosion. And with cards like Ramanapa Excavator, we could play lands from the graveyard very efficiently. I think this commander basically just builds itself towards this, more or less. I mean, it's all there. You wanna have lands in your hand, your commander is drawing into the lands, you're discarding the lands to kill creatures, then you're playing the lands with the excavator to net positive. If you basically have a excavator in play, you could say that you're drawing 2 cards per turn because you're attacking, that's 1 card draw, and then you're playing a land from the graveyard, which is also creating a pseudo card draw, you could say. Not really card draw, but like keeping your hand size intact, as you're not missing land drops by going hellbent on lands. And this could help you build towards a form of mid-range control strategy where you're trying to interact with your opponent's creatures and eventually like smashing your opponents to death. I mean, this is a 6/5, so he attacks pretty good. That's a big punch. He will actually 4-shot a player, so that's worth considering. And if you're attacking, you're on the attack trigger before blockers, you get to discard cards so you can remove blockers. And if you're continuing doing that thing with Valakut, you could kill all of their blockers and make it really hard to block this 6/5 and eventually kill player by commander damage. We are also on the color identity of blue, so we can include a bunch of counter spells to stop spellslinger decks that are trying to win with fast combos from Intuition, Odd-Nos, Doomsday, Underworld Breach, Peer into the Abyss, Bolas Citadel, or any other strange combo that people are often going for. So in general, he works. He's doing stuff. He is literally the Kraum Armix version of Temur, cutting black by and gaining green. And honestly, that's bad. If we're gonna evaluate things here, we have to just mention that Grixis is better than Temur. That's just a fact. Black tutors are really good. Odd-Nos, really good. Odd-Nos would be amazing in this borborygmos deck. Imagine like drawing an enormous amount of lands. The CMC ratio of this deck could be really low, and then you just put a lot of lands into your hand from your Odd-Nos, and then you can do cool borborygmos land archetype strategies with that. But we can't have Odd-Nos in this deck. But I like the kind of mentality this deck is creating. We have interaction in the command zone for creatures. This means that you gain more space inside your deck. Normally you have to include lightning bolts, spot removals, bounce spells, things that can kill creatures. Usually good in instant speed. This creature cannot discard lands in instant speed to interact with your opponent's creatures here and there. You have to do it in your combat phase or on the ETB. But by having an ability from the command zone able to kill creatures, you can decrease the amount of creature spot removal inside your deck because your commander can fix that for you really consistently. And then you can increase the amount of mid-range value cards, counterspell interaction, tutors, etc. to make a fluent functional deck to do whatever Temur combo you could think of. While the commander is also capable of drawing a tiny bit from the command zone. I want to emphasize that this is not a big card draw effect. There are much stronger card draw commanders out there. But in all honesty, I kind of like him. He feels very capable of like preying on other people's commanders, attacking and killing hate bears here and there. Like Armix have proven to be very capable of preying or dealing with stacks orientated commander decks. And so could this guy. Not at the same capacity, with weaker card draw engine and weaker color identity. But there is something there, like it's not absolutely out of the waters, it's capable of doing something. I also think it's gonna be a fun commander, like lands is usually really fun, I enjoy that. And if you like land archetype, if you like building land orientated commander decks, then this could be something. That's it for this time. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you liked the video and potentially got a little bit inspired along the way. Take care guys, and I'll see you next time. More card reviews are coming up. They have printed a lot of new commanders, so there's a lot of stuff to talk about.